After I died, my parents submerged my body in ice and begged the surgeons to carve out my heart and give it to foster Rosalie. Not satisfied, she also married my biological, Leo, and became the picture-perfect daughter they'd always wanted. In that life I fought for every scrap of affection, only to die despised. Reborn, I vowed to stop wrestling Rosalie for Mom and Dad's love and to pour myself into my own life instead and, to my surprise, I harvested both a career and a love I never saw coming. When I opened my eyes to the very day Rosalie first crossed our threshold. Rosalie was the daughter of Dad's closest friend. Her father had been a celebrated Riverdale shipping magnate, so she'd grown up swaddled in silk with a gift for dance until, at 3, doctors diagnosed her congenital heart defect and barred her from long rehearsals. To keep her alive, her parents chased transplant lists across oceans, flying home empty-handed every time. Slowly Rosalie folded into herself, speaking only when necessary. In a last-ditch effort to make her smile, they took her on a spur-of-the-moment road trip. Her father, exhausted from an all-nighter at the office, dozed at the wheel minutes after merging onto the interstate. Both parents died on impact. Rosalie walked away with nothing worse than a scraped knee. Dad, crushed by the loss of his best friend, filed the adoption papers before the funeral flowers wilted, crowning her the princess she'd always been. "Alex, this is your little sister Rosalie. Be good to her." "Really? I have a sister now?" I grabbed her hand, giddy. She shook me off like rainwater. Last time I'd told myself she was just moody, but after she'd stripped my room to the baseboards I realized she'd come armed. When I finally fought back, the lectures rained down. "Alex, when did you become so selfish? You know your sister's sick, why can't you give in? She stole my favorite Barbie. Why am I always the villain?" Dad raised his hand to hit me. Rosalie, eyes glistening, caught his wrist. "It's okay. Maybe because I'm sick, big sister doesn't like me. Should I go back to Sunrise?" Mom and Dad swarmed to console her. "Dylan, don't talk like that. You have a home." "Uncle, Auntie, is this really my home?" "Of course, though, you'd better start calling us Mom and Dad." 2 sentences, and she'd rerouted the conversation and pocketed their hearts. She was 8, already a grandmaster, and I was still learning the rules. She wiped her tears, radiant. "Daddy, Mommy. There's my good girl." Dad lifted her, Mom laced fingers through hers. A perfect family portrait, except they were my parents. 2 in that previous life. Rosalie annexed my world toy by toy, blanket by blanket, until even my bedroom flew her flag. On my first night back from the grave she yanked the quilt off my bed. I shivered, knees to chin, plotting how to slip the gates of this house that had never been mine. Just as I drifted off, Rosalie sat bolt upright. I thought she was sleepwalking and trailed her down the hall until she bolted into Mom and Dad's room, sobbing. "Mom, Dad, I'm freezing. Riley keeps stealing my blanket." "Then sleep with us, sweetheart." They hoisted her between them. Had they brushed a palm across her burning forehead they would have known the lie, but they didn't. Rosalie manufactured shivers and snuggled closer to Mom. Dad rose, anger igniting behind his eyes. I sprinted back to my room and screwed my lid shut. He tore the duvet away. "Brielle, you let your sister freeze? You know she's ill." Disappointing doesn't begin to cover it. "No blanket tonight." Mom's silence across the hall sealed the verdict. I was 8, barely older than Rosalie, left to curl into myself until dawn. Helplessness pooled in my chest. She'd used this exact trick to drain my parents' love dry. Eventually they crowned me the flawed child, her the paragon. I morphed from easygoing to ravenous, clawing for every breadcrumb. Whatever I owned, toys, trophies, breathing space, migrated to her side of the line. My bedroom became Rosalie's. I was exiled to the couch after she convinced them my snoring sabotaged her beauty sleep. No one believed my protests, and soon liar was the nicest label I wore. I lost, spectacularly, reduced to an unwanted foster haunting my own home. Mom and Dad bragged about Rosalie wherever they went, proof that Charity looked adorable in pigtails, so much prettier than their birth daughter the fabricator. The memories still sting, but they also steel me. This round I'll choreograph my own curtain call, not scramble for scraps of affection I was never offered. 3. I woke at 7, half frozen, and shuffled to the living room. Mom, Dad, and Rosalie were eating breakfast. One glance told me mine had vanished into her stomach. Sensing my glare, Rosalie chirped, "Big sister, I was starving so I ate yours." "You're not mad, right?" I stayed silent. Mom rushed to broker peace. "Sweetheart, your sister's still growing. We have mango, want me to peel one for you?" Dad's fork clattered. "She's 8, not a baby. Peel it herself. This ingratitude is your fault, coddling her like one missed meal won't kill her. Hurry up, we're touring schools for Dylan today." Same script, second showing. They knew mangoes closed my throat, they also knew hypoglycemia could drop me if I skipped food. But rebirth had vaccinated me against their venom. Love unavailable? I'd simply unsubscribe. I snagged a carton of milk. Rosalie reached for one too. For an instant triumph glittered in her eyes. Then she pivoted, offering the carton to Mom and Dad, voice wobbling. "Don't be upset. Big sister acts out because she wants you to love her most. She thinks I've stolen you." Tears slid down her cheeks. Mom and Dad sued her on cue. "Dylan, nonsense, we adore you. She throws tantrums over nothing, ignore her." Their eyes, when they flicked to me, were septic. I was already measured and found wanting, but the ruler was theirs, not mine. Last life their neglect leached me dry, so even nostalgia had calcified. I could audition for the role of dutiful daughter and coast through childhood untouched. I just refused. Love that must be wrestled from someone else's grip isn't love, it's sport. And I would let Rosalie watch me walk off the field with the trophy she hunted, indifference. For after they left I rinsed their plates and stacked them in the cabinet. I curled on the sofa to watch cartoons and dozed off. They came home to find me limp and sunstriped, and for once carried me to bed. When I woke, Mom stroked my hair. "Alex was so good today. What would you like for dinner?" "Anything's fine. Actually, I'd like to give my room to Rosalie. I'll sleep on the daybed in the study." Mom and Dad traded startled looks, then helped me move my toothbrush and pajamas without a single protest. Little by little the frost in their eyes thawed. They sensed a shift they couldn't name. Only I knew that if I still wanted to be their good daughter, I had to give in to her in everything. Letting my own grievances prop up their perfect little girl, that was supposed to be my duty. After dinner I was practicing on the grand piano when Rosalie stationed herself beside me and, for no reason at all, started to cry. I pretended not to hear and played on, lost in the music, until Dad suddenly yanked the plug. "Stop that noise, can't you hear your sister sobbing?" I turned to see Rosalie with bubbles of snot dribbling down her lip. "Mom, Dad, I want to play the grand piano too." I knew exactly what she meant, so I silently got up and went to my room. Mom, who was inside reading, knocked and stepped in, crouching in front of me with a smile. "Alex, Dylan used to take dance. She's never touched a grand piano. Your dad and I talked it over and we'll hire a teacher for her. You've already learned so much, so hand the piano over to your sister for a while." Her tone was pure announcement, not discussion. If that was the case, why bother with the sweet talk? In my last life Rosalie had loved dancing, yet she still fought me for the grand piano. From that day on the instrument became hers alone. I changed from performer to audience. Her playing was awful, but Mom and Dad kept praising her God-given talent. Even the downstairs neighbors filed a noise complaint, usually mild-mannered. My parents actually screamed at them, and if property management hadn't shown up, it might have come to blows. At 12, Rosalie and I both signed up for the level 10 piano exam. She seemed to know she would foul up, so she introduced herself using my name. She tested first. In the end I had to use hers. The results: she passed level 10, I failed. When I told Mom and Dad, they weren't upset at all. "Alex, that level 10 certificate isn't a big deal, let your sister have it." "Yeah, Alex, with her heart condition she may not live past 30, so indulge her." No matter how I cried or raged, they simply ignored me, let me howl myself hoarse. Finally Dad lost patience, raised his hand, and slapped me so hard the room rang. All this fuss over nothing? Why am I the one blamed when she's the thief? She's stolen everything, now she wants my glory too. If none of you love me, I'll leave this house. I thought laying my grievances bare might earn a shred of empathy. What I earned was slap after slap. Don't think you're so special. That day she just messed up, given another shot she'd outplay you, you ungrateful brat. In the end I shed no tears, only hate, only ice. Who could believe the man shouting was my father, while my mother looked on in indifference? Because of that certificate she later landed a cushy job teaching at the best arts academy in the province, while I became a common office clerk. Recalling my past life, I felt zero attachment to the grand piano. I pick things up fast. If one path is blocked, I'll switch. So I agreed instantly, even handing over my notebooks and sheet music. That gesture left my usually cold parents squirming with shame. Winter was brutal. School was on break and little brother Leo came home from Ravenswood. He was supposed to fly abroad for winter ski camp, but Mom and Dad ordered him back to see Rosalie. Curiosity tugged him home. Rosalie must have heard he was coming. She'd doll herself up like a princess. What boy could resist? In a single day Leo turned into her tail, a page boy trotting after her every step. Rosalie stirred the pot again, flashing me a glance. Taylor, why don't you wash an apple for your real sister, or she'll get mad after all, she's your biological sister. Her words branded me petty, and then she dragged me into a cat fight. Taylor, who do you think is prettier, me or your sister? Of course Dylan is prettier. I hid my disgust, burying the fury in my eyes. Worse, Rosalie egged Mom and Dad on, calling me a liar and a bully right in front of Leo. He swallowed every word, started doting on Rosalie, and even wrote in his diary, "When I grow up I'm marrying Rosalie." Hate Brielle. They crushed another piece of my heart. After he returned, Mom and Dad planned an ancestral grave visit at the Vance estate. For the first time I refused to go. I stuck out in this family. If even Mom, Dad, and Leo didn't love me, the ancestors wouldn't want me either. I claimed I had too much homework. Mom, Dad, and Leo said nothing. Only Rosalie reacted. She sobbed as though her heart would rupture. Mom, Dad, why don't the four of you go? I'm just an outsider. Mom froze, then rushed to console her. Silly girl, you're no outsider, you're the apple of the Vance family eye. Leo piped up at once. Yeah, we're one family, don't think nonsense. Rosalie's gaze slid to me. Leo caught it, his eyes turning dark. Brielle, are you banning Dylan? I never knew you could be so vicious. Mom and Dad joined the chorus. Only I stayed calm, not a flicker showing. I gave a cold laugh, stepped up to Leo, then looked at Mom and Dad. You keep talking as if everything is my fault. I'm your biological daughter, your Emery. Why am I always condemned while you defend an outsider? And Rosalie, what else do you want? I've handed over Barbie dolls, my room, the grand piano. What more? Rosalie broke eye contact, fidgeting with her fingers. Leo saw me fight back and caught Rosalie's timid act. He pressed harder. Enough, Brielle. Are those trinkets really priceless? Dylan's health is fragile. Must you torment her? My biological addressed me by name while calling Rosalie Dylan every breath. Rosalie had Mom and Dad's adoration and Leo as her knight. Her fate outshone mine, orphaned yet showered with love, while I, who had parents and a brother, owned nothing but air. Seeing us at loggerheads, Mom tried to mediate. Alex, your brother's home for once, don't ruin the mood. Hurry up and apologize to him and to Dylan. A reckless courage surged through me. You can demand anything except an apology. That will never happen. Dad's hand flashed, a slap exploded across the living room. 5 scarlet fingerprints bloomed on my cheek. I glared at him, strode back to my room, and shut the door. They set off for the Vance estate, saying they'd stay 1 day, but remained 3 days and nights. At home I was starving, ribs clanging against my spine. They never phoned once. Last life I'd tried the same trick, refusing food and water, fainting dead away before they returned. I woke 2 days later in the hospital. This life I would never gamble with my body again. I scarfed down every scrap of fruit, snack, and bottled water in the house. Between naps and meals I studied. I had a goal now: psychology. 6. My body is 8, but my mind is 24. Academics cost me zero effort. I've learned it all before, now it's review. When exam results came, I was valedictorian. Rosalie was still auditioning with tea ceremony electives. Outcome: I topped the grade without budging. She ranked dead last. The single time she clawed into the top 10, she was caught cheating on the spot. Every exam cycle the teacher summoned our parents, and every time Rosalie offered the same excuse. Teacher, Mom, Dad, my heart flutters if I read too long, I get migraines. Mom and Dad floated hiring an after-school tutor, but Rosalie always refused. No surprise she naps through classes. 100 tutors couldn't save her. Although Mom and Dad lost face, deep down they still doted on Rosalie. Not only did they never miss a single parent-teacher conference, they even ingratiated themselves with teachers and classmates, begging everyone to look after their little girl. Yet Rosalie had chosen the same school as me, same class, same homeroom. I was the only student without a parent in sight, and because of that the teacher looked down on me while the kids sneered that I was a wild child. Their explanation never changed, year after year. She's your little sister, of course you're supposed to give in to her. Last lifetime those words left me bloody, this lifetime they didn't leave a scratch. I simply didn't care. I only wanted to swim every corner of the sea of knowledge. Hard work paid off. At 14 I was admitted to Riverdale early admission, no entrance exam, youngest in the class. The local news stations picked it up, and commenters called me a prodigy, said the Vance family must have ancestors burning incense in their graves. Mom and Dad were invited for interviews, but they refused, afraid the spotlight would upset Rosalie. Some publishers even asked them to write a parenting book or start a podcast sharing child-rearing tips. Thanks to the free publicity, their mid-sized logistics company landed a windfall of new contracts, yet they credited every cent to Rosalie. Told you Dylan attracts fortune, see how it rolls in? They even used the profits to buy Rosalie a brand new grand piano as a reward. They didn't ask me how I was doing. Golden autumn arrived. On registration day the president and Cameron met me at the school gate. Rosalie had pleaded a sudden stomachache so our parents would drive her to the clinic instead of me. The exam showed nothing, the doctor said adolescent drama, watch for fabrication. Mom and Dad refused to believe it and argued with him. I'd long since lost interest in their circus, my mood never wobbled. Cameron noticed I was alone and immediately assigned me a single dorm. You can stay holidays and summers too, he said. The feeling of being cared for after so long made my eyes sting. It was at this school I would meet the two most important people in my new life. After I finished check-in, I posted in the family WhatsApp group, officially a college student, here's my room, with a photo of the dorm. Mom and Dad read it and said nothing. Leo answered right away, tagging Rosalie, she's finally gone. No one can hurt you now. Living alone was pure bliss after all. I was 24 inside, independence second nature. What I hadn't expected was that sometimes being too brilliant is its own crime. On the first day of classes I gave the freshman address, every gaze in the auditorium pinned itself to me. Jealousy glittered in their eyes. That's the genius Brielle? Probably bought her way in. Big deal, looks totally average to me. Malnourished much? Think she still drinks milk from a bottle? Laughter rippled through the rows. I stayed calm enough to make them squirm. In mental age I was their big sister, they just didn't know it. After the ceremony I headed to the dining hall. The moment I set my tray down, students around me scooped up their food and shifted tables as if I reeked. Once resettled, the chatter resumed. Eating near her kills my appetite. So brilliant, why doesn't the president open a private kitchen for her? Careful, she might report us. Free speech, isn't it? I almost laughed. Jealousy had warped their faces, book smarts clearly didn't equal class. I picked the bones out of my fish, marveling that an entire cafeteria couldn't spare one quiet table. Halfway through, someone settled opposite me as naturally as breathing. His eyes were quiet, close falling like cloud scrolls, gentle, unassuming. We locked gazes, and he spoke first. "This boiled fish is lousy, try the spicy sour next time." I blinked. "Brielle, cat got your tongue?" Didn't know what to say. I glanced around, he understood. "You'll get used to it. If you like, I can eat with you from now on." "Aren't you afraid of the flak?" "Nope. But they're afraid of me." "Why?" "My dad's a PhD advisor." I looked, every mouth that had mocked me was shut, eyes darting nervously. "His name," he said, "was Julian, same major, same cohort." From then on we attended lectures and meals together. For the first time I felt shielded, the warmth startled me. Midterms arrived. I overperformed, Cameron praised me, and the jealous whispers morphed into admiration. We even traded notes without grudges. Without the Vance foursome poisoning my days, life felt light. Autumn slid into winter, vacation sneaked up. I stayed on campus, living in the library. To my surprise, Julian appeared, saying Cameron had invited us to dinner at his house. I'd almost forgotten what a family table felt like, so I went grateful, expectant. Around a small table we debated giant dreams, argued ourselves red over research minutiae, and still ended the night respecting each other. Beyond academics, Cameron and Julian looked after me. If I skipped a meal for study, one of them materialized with a sandwich. "Brielle, scholarship matters, but food matters more." Those small, hearth-warmed moments stitched something inside me back together. Yet I never called Mom or Dad, and they never asked why I hadn't come home. I might as well have been vapor. Seeing Julian and me inseparable, Cameron joked, "You look out for Riley so much, why don't you just be her big brother?" I'd always wanted an older brother, instead I'd been forced to be one and still ended up unloved by my parents, despised by my brother. Worst of all, Dad had humiliated me for Rosalie's sake. If I could choose, Dylan would be my real daughter. My eyes stung at the memory. Cameron and Julian caught it, one rattled off dumb jokes while the other thrust tissues at me until I laughed through tears. When I calmed, they asked about my family. I told them everything. Outrage lit their faces. "So she's sick and that gives her the right to bully you? You didn't give her that disease. Your parents ganged up on their own Emery. Do they think glorifying someone else's kid makes them saints?" "Hypocrites," Cameron muttered, then shot Julian a look. "I asked you to be her brother, why so quiet?" Julian dropped his gaze. "Because I don't want to be her brother." Apart from that house of knots, school was pure happiness. At school I had classmates, I had Cameron, I never went hungry or cold, and I was showered with concern. Outside of classes I picked up tutoring gigs. Because my coaching was so effective, my pupils shot ahead, and my reputation exploded. Parents hunted me down, begging for my help, and the rates they offered were sky-high. I pocketed every dollar. Having money I could control myself gave me a deep sense of safety. To my surprise, Mom and Dad weren't doing well at all. Rosalie's heart condition flared up again and again, and they dashed around for her treatments while the company fell behind and lost order after order. The living expense transfers shrank month by month, but I no longer cared, I could support myself. Mom and Dad still trashed me every chance they got, yet the minute the firm hit trouble they paraded their genius daughter for the headlines, and the trick never failed. It grated, but I couldn't be bothered to fight. The college had scheduled a barbecue at Riverdale. I'd planned to take a part-time shift instead, but Julian badgered me until I gave in, so I went with a spark of anticipation in my chest. I never expected to run into the Vance family there. The four of them were toasting marshmallows in perfect harmony until they saw me, their smiles froze and the temperature dropped 10 degrees. Rosalie darted behind Mom and Dad, eyes wide and timid, as if I might hit her. Leo, a full year younger, now played knight, his stare sharp enough to carve me alive. "Didn't you say studying left you zero free time?" Mom and Dad were right, you're a born liar. Mom and Dad looked revolted, desperate to disown me on the spot. Rosalie, clutching Dad's arm, poured on more oil. Sis, is the guy next to you your boyfriend? He's cute, but isn't dating a little early for you? I never wanted to believe you were a liar, yet today. Since you're free tonight, come home with us. You skipped winter break for your boyfriend. Mom and Dad miss you so much, can't you tell? After all this time her saccharine venom hadn't changed a drop. The moment Mom and Dad heard the insinuation they flared up. Brielle, gotten too big for your boots? Hooking up with a classmate shameless. I ought to beat you dead. Look at you, how dare you compare yourself to your little sister. A creepy smile flickered across Rosalie's face while my classmates gathered for the show. Within 5 minutes the four of them took turns shelling me with words, granting me no room to explain, deciding that if they believed it, it must be true. I was long past caring, but Julian was shaken by the casual slander. I'd been about to argue back when Cameron strolled up. I didn't want family dirt to spoil the outing, so I tried to ignore them until Mom and Dad learned the man was Cameron from Riverdale. Their faces flipped to obsequious smiles, every trace of acid gone. I understood. Rosalie would apply to college one day, her grades were dismal, and they wanted connections early. Rosalie outdid even them. Learning Julian was Prof's son, she donned full White Lotus mode and quietly distanced herself from Leo. So you're Professor Hawthorne's son? Then I must have misunderstood my sister. Mom and Dad chimed in at once, terrified of offending Julian or Cameron. Exactly, Alex, you could have explained so awkward. Our apologies. With one sentence I became the scapegoat again. Julian almost engraved speechless on his face. Sounds like you folks care a lot about Brielle. Of course she's our daughter. They reached for my hand, I shook them off. Their smiles turned stiff. Really? I thought she was an orphan. Only then did they notice the cake box in Julian's hand, their expressions were ghost white. Since Rosalie entered the house I'd been the forgotten corner, they had never once remembered my birthday, even though I was their own flesh. I couldn't stomach it anymore. I gave a cold laugh. If I hadn't bumped into you today I'd honestly believe I was an orphan. You never remember my birthday, yet Rosalie's parties are louder than anyone's. Their faces barely twitched, blatant favor hurts more than anger. Still, the performance had to go on. Dad spoke first. Alex, how can you talk to us like that? You haven't come home since college started. We're powerless. Julian's temper flared. Funny, I don't see any gifts or even a text. Indeed none, and I needed none. His words shamed them into silence. Stuck in the stalemate, Rosalie made her move. She seized my hand, all teary affection. Sis, don't blame Mom and Dad, okay? You know my health is fragile, they run around for me, that's why they forget. Blame me or hit me, just don't be mad. She pressed my palm to her cheek, inviting the slap. I clenched my fist and refused. When I didn't budge she switched tactics and started crying. Sis, please don't be angry. If I died this wouldn't happen. She lunged to hug me, I instinctively stepped back and she tripped, falling hard. The fake tears finally turned real, streaming down. Mom and Dad rushed to lift her, and Leo was angrier than either of them, looking ready to hit me. Brielle, enough. We're only talking, why push her? Julian shielded me, his own fists tight. Which eye of yours saw Riley push her? Leo was struck dumb, raising a hand against Julian until Cameron's sharp voice cut in. That's enough. None of us saw Brielle lay a finger on her. Are you calling us all blind? He turned to my parents. Do you even know how to parent? If you're so busy, why are you barbecuing here? Teach your kids some manners before you leave the house. With that he led us away. My classmates murmured condemnations and threw me sympathetic glances. To keep my spirits up they chatted and snapped photos of me. I played along. So many people celebrating my birthday, my first time. I was thrilled, not sad. They sang, posed for a giant group shot, and piled gifts into my arms. I nearly cried, but the drawing Julian handed me yanked the tears back. He'd sketched something like a scarecrow and claimed it was me. I wasn't even annoyed, he was, grumbling that I had no taste. College rushed by in a blur, but I planned to keep studying. Over 4 years I'd saved enough to go abroad for graduate work. With a professor's recommendation I gained admission. When Mom and Dad heard, they called out of the blue, sighing how proud they were, how much they missed me. I thought I'd answered the wrong number until I learned Rosalie's sickness had worsened. She had to have what others owned and what they didn't. Her middle and high school scores were so poor the family had hemorrhaged money on favors. The coffers were now empty. They realized I was their only hope and had heard I'd earned plenty, so they set out to repair a non-existent parent-child bond, meaning my wallet. Word had it Leo's grades had tanked so badly college was a moonshot. I pinged him in the family group chat, "If you can't get into college you might as well go earn a living." Leo didn't make a peep, yet Rosalie argued on his behalf. "Don't talk like that, please. Taylor only slacks off in school because he's busy taking care of me." The nicknames told the whole story. They'd already slid from siblings to lovers at Chinese bullet train speed. I'd played this scene in my head 100 times. I opened my banking app and wired my parents every dollar they'd spent on me since the day I was reborn, plus a lump sum I called old age insurance. The ledger was now balanced. But I attached one condition. In the family group chat I had Ed, Richard and Catherine. "Mom, Dad, check your accounts, I just sent you some money. But it's earmarked for you too. If a cent of it touches Rosalie, we're cut all ties. I'll legally change my name and vanish so thoroughly you'll never find me." They replied instantly to the first line, emoji hearts and "Thank you, sweetheart." After the second line, silence. A full 5 minutes later Dad had Ed me. "Funds returned. The Vance family has no room for a heartless child. Funny how the knife wielders always call the victim cruel. You ignored me for years, and now I bail you out only to be labeled heartless. Congratulations, Dad, your definition of fatherhood is tragic." I tapped leave group and felt 10 pounds lighter. Their Instagram cover photo said it all, a collage of family with me photoshopped out. Scramble for that kind of love? Hard pass. I boarded my flight with nothing but a carry-on and a future I actually wanted. The sliding doors at JFK hadn't even closed behind me when I spotted Julian. "What are you doing here?" "Guess." I counted my blessings daily, Julian topping the list. Before I left, Cameron pulled me aside. "Riley, I see how Julian looks at you, but forever is a long road. If you ever need backup, your coach and his wife are child-free by choice, yet we'd love to adopt you in every way that counts." "Thank you, coach. No tears, kid. Whatever happens, we're your safe zone." Love I'd never received from home came pouring in from Cameron and Julian. I hadn't spoken to the Vances since takeoff. Eventually I rerouted the returned money to Mom. Dad's principles hadn't stopped him from spending it. A neighbor later WhatsApped me the highlight reel. Rosalie, terrified she'd bomb the SATs, begged Dad to buy her a cheating rig. He hesitated, then shelled out. Halfway through the test her heart sputtered, the proctor spotted the camera, and Riverdale became the scandal of the year. Dad's logistics firm lost every major contract and faced damages that erased 2/4 of profit. For the first time, he didn't shield Rosalie, just looked through her like glass. She moved out, Leo followed. Weeks of togetherness produced a positive pregnancy test, then a wedding invitation I declined. Lab rotations, can't miss. Julian and I crammed 2 PhDs into 24 months. Back home, I started my psychology internship while he opened a dental practice. You eat enough cake for both of us, so I'll keep the cavities away. Busy, sure, but every Friday at 7 we shut off every screen and shared pizza at the corner joint. Ordinary and perfect. The calm cracked when Leo and Catherine figured out which hospital I rotated through. They hammered on the clinic door. "Alex, please save my wife." Between sobs they told the tale. Rosalie, pilloried online after the cheating fiasco, spiraled into depression and self-harm. "You're the best shrink in Riverdale, you can fix her, right? She's pregnant." "Without her I'd rather die. Help your little sister," Mom wailed. I skimmed the chart, then conferred with attendings. Prognosis, guard at best, no cure, only coping. When I delivered the news, they turned feral. This is it? We thought you were brilliant. Should have never given birth to you. You just don't want to help because she outshone you. Their shouting drew every intern, nurse, and janitor on the floor. For the first time, my credibility was questioned in my own workplace. I stepped back? Not this life. I slapped Leo hard enough to echo. Mom flinched into silence. Old scars lit up, they were salting them again. Enough. Baseless slander classic. I defend myself, I'm the lying drama queen, Rosalie's word is gospel. 8 years old and I walked to school alone. College? You cut me off. Still I repaid you with interest. You never once remembered my birthday. Had I been a stray dog you picked up, you'd have treated me kinder. Who exactly are you to interrogate me? Look at your venomous faces, more like bitter strangers than brother and mother. You're biologically related, yet you've forfeited every right to call yourselves family. The onlookers turned hostile toward my relatives, security escorted them out. The clip went hospital-wide, my reputation flipped overnight. 2 more seasons circled the sun. I became the youngest full professor Riverdale ever appointed. Julian's practice expanded to 3 chairs and a skyline view. Money bored us, so every December we wired a fat donation to Sunrise, hoping more latchkey kids grew into lone wolves with bite. I still mailed monthly alimony to the Van Cess, but their calls went to voicemail and their letters to the shredder. Orphan in every way but birth certificate, some stains only fade, never wash. During pro bono therapy sessions at Riverdale, I passed Rosalie's ward. Dad, terrified her illness might infect the grandchild, forced an abortion. Now she mutters to shadows and eats with her hands. I told the charge nurse to keep the bullies off her. The chief promised special supervision. Not pity, just the kind of mercy I can spare. She dug her pit, laid in it, keeps digging. In her last life she studied quietly, collected sympathy like charms, and lived well. This life she chose malice, and the mud swallowed her. I have a family now, professor, lover, friends who speak my name like a promise. Their circus, their flames. I like the woman I see in the mirror, tomorrow I'll like her even more. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the story, hit like and share it with a friend. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales. See you next time.